Yo, what's up guys? CJax back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about why Drew McIntyre deserves better and CM Punk is overrated. Now, obviously, in terms of my opinion at least, Drew McIntyre pretty much since late 2023 with his feud with Rollins, and then throughout most of 2024, has been the most consistent and arguably the best wrestler on the planet, in WWE at least, right? Now, obviously, Roman Reigns, Rollins, The Rock, all these people are obviously bigger stars, and when they're actually at work, they do way better work than Drew McIntyre. But I'm talking about people who have been there the whole entire time, who have been consistently working, and who have elevated their character, their promos, their matches, and the level of star power they have. Who has elevated more than Drew McIntyre has over the last year? Nobody. Drew McIntyre is at the top of his game at this point, right? And you would think that someone who's had this much success and who has gotten this much better would actually get rewarded by winning meaningful matches or winning a championship or things of that nature. But instead, he has not done or won anything with all of the success that he's done. With all of it. Even the social media work, which I forgot to mention, that Drew McIntyre is doing an amazing job on social media over the last year or so, with just, elevating his character, playing personalities online, it's been great. However, he hasn't done or won anything. He wins the title at Mania, and then apparently, he just loses it after 4 minutes to Damian Priest. First of all, how are Damian Priest and Gunther getting world championship reigns before Drew McIntyre is in 2024? What? And that brings me to CM Punk. CM Punk, I like CM Punk, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. When I was growing up, I saw CM Punk's actual prime, the late 2000s to all the way when he left in 2014. This dude was doing amazing work on the mic. He was doing great matches, and he had a pretty solid WWE Championship reign, which I think was over 400 days, if I'm not mistaken. And he was great. But right now, in the current day and age, he can still cut promos, and he's still a draw, obviously. But his in-ring work is done. He's washed in the ring. He just is. He's washed. Now, obviously, I'd say he's a Klay Thompson. He's absolutely washed. He's drained out. If your mom asks you, hey, did you do the dishes? Just yell back Klay Thompson or yell back CM Punk, and she'll know that they're absolutely squeaky clean. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, after this, I just want to say something real quick. CM Punk being, washed in the ring is now being excused by a bunch of fans because they're like, oh, well, he's old. He's old. He's old. Guess what, buddy? CM Punk has not wrestled a WWE match or a match in general from 2014 to 2021 at the very minimum. And in WWE, he has not wrestled, he didn't wrestle for a decade. A decade. He should be fresh. He should be ready to go. Sheamus is about the same age as Punk, if not older. And he's put on at least 5 to 10 banger matches on Raw in the 6 months that he's been back. Randy Orton is around the same age as CM Punk, and he put on a banger at the Royal. His performance in this year's Royal Rumble Fatal 4-Way for the WWE title was very good. His match versus Gunther at Queen of the Ring was very good. Or King and Queen of the Ring. And you have his match at Bash in Berlin, which even though I think it was mid, at least it wasn't garbage. And then Randy Orton also at Mania versus Logan Paul and Kevin Owens did a great job in that match. He just wrestled Javon Evans and did a good job in that match on NXT. So why in the world is CM Punk washed in the ring? And you're probably thinking, oh, well, he's not washed. He's not washed. The Hell in a Cell. The Hell in a Cell. Let me tell you something, bro. The Hell in a Cell was a good match, but breaking news, it's overrated. And like I said, Punk vs. Drew is a good match, right? But people overrate it to a crazy extent. They're like, CM Punk elevated Drew McIntyre to a great match. He elevated this. He elevated McIntyre to this and that. McIntyre was already great enough to be a world champion and to be in a main event spot by the time WrestleMania came around this year. He had already elevated to that level. He was awesome. The match he put on with Damian Priest at Clash in the Castle, banger. The Money in the Bank match he was in this year, banger. The match with Rollins at Mania, banger. And even a couple years ago, I forgot to mention this, Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns at Clash at the Castle, that was an incredible main event. It was awesome. Go back and watch that match. Look at the in-ring work, the storytelling, the crowd. Everything about it was incredible. So McIntyre was already capable of putting on great main event matches before CM Punk even came back to the company. And he was doing great main event matches with guys who are way bigger than better than CM Punk. With Roman Reigns, for example. Or with Seth Rollins. And people have the audacity to say this is one of the greatest Hell in a Cell matches ever. Punk made this one of the greatest Hell in a Cell matches ever. Blah, 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 blah. No. It's a good match, don't get me wrong. But Triple H versus Undertaker at Hell in a Cell in Mania 28, that match was incredible. I remember that match, watching that. Are you kidding me? That match is way better than this. Batista versus Triple H in their Hell in a Cell match, I think in like 05 or 06, whenever that was. You know what I'm saying? Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes a couple years ago. That was a good Hell in a Cell match, and it was probably better than this one objectively because Punk didn't do any of the heavy lifting in this match. He didn't. He didn't. CM Punk hit, what, a GTS or two, a couple high knees, a roundhouse kick, and an anaconda vice. All the in-ring heavy lifting, like the white noise on the steps, the spot through the table, the claymores, the physicality in this match, all of it was brought on by Drew McIntyre for the most part. But because everyone's bleeding and McIntyre got busted open by getting hit with a toolbox, all of a sudden this match is incredible, it's epic, it's one of a kind. No, it's not. It's not. And Drew McIntyre is already at the level to put on great matches like this. But this match isn't even great, it's just good. But McIntyre was already capable of doing great matches. So we already knew this. So stop overrating this and acting like Punk gave McIntyre his only great match or this and that, or that this Hell in a Cell was an all-timer. No, it isn't. We've witnessed probably at least 5 to 10 matches alone this year that are better than this. You know what I mean? CM Punk at the Royal Rumble this year came in out of shape. He was out of breath, he was poorly conditioned, and he tore his tricep to a move that hundreds of other superstars have taken and walked out just fine. Which means that CM Punk obviously wasn't conditioned, or he wasn't ready for this moment. Or maybe it was just an unfortunate injury event. But then you fast forward all the way because we have to wait 7 more months for him to wrestle at SummerSlam. In this match, he barely does any moves. What memorable spot did Punk do at the SummerSlam pay-per-view this year, man? He hit Seth Rollins with a GTS. He hit McIntyre with a GTS. But what else did he do? What else did he do? He didn't do anything. Because the common denominator in all these Punk matches with McIntyre this year is that McIntyre carries the match 80% of it until the very end, and then Punk gets momentum and just wins the match. That's all it is. That's all it is. And you have to look at it like, unbiased. Like, for example, I like Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns is one of the greatest WWE superstars ever. But I'm not going to sit here and glaze and meat ride and tell you that he's better than like John Cena or The Rock. Come on, man. We can like these wrestlers and, be fans of them, but you can't sit here and just ignore the realities of the situation. Roman Reigns before the Tribal Chief was not like this all-time great wrestler. He wasn't amazing at every aspect of being a pro wrestler yet. He wasn't. Was he good? Yeah, in my opinion, I think he was good. I don't think he was what he is now, though, at all. We have to be objective with our criticisms and with our liking of these wrestlers. And with CM Punk, there's a clear bias towards this guy. At Bash in Berlin, he didn't do any top rope moves. He barely did any spots. He got put through a table, and he did 4 GTSs. And then what happened after that? He won the match. That was it. He did nothing memorable in that match besides 4 GTSs, and then won versus McIntyre. And then you get to the Hell in a Cell. He hit Drew McIntyre in the head with a toolbox. He hit a GTS with the chain. What else did he do, bro? He did like the 4 high knees in the corner, and then he hit the couple GTSs, and the match was over. That was it. That's all CM Punk did. Meanwhile, Drew McIntyre was the one who was putting Punk through a table. He was hitting multiple claymores. He took that nasty bump on the steel steps. He hit the white noise on the steel steps. You know what I'm saying? He was bashing Punk against the cage. He hit him with weapons. You get what I mean? Drew McIntyre carries all these matches, and then CM Punk just randomly hits a GTS or 2 at the end and dodges a move, and that's it. They just give Punk the win. Punk has not been in the company for a decade. He hasn't wrestled in the company for a decade, and he bashed the company while he was away and all of that stuff. And the reward that CM Punk gets for that is winning his first meaningful feud back. But the guy who stuck with you through COVID and was arguably one of your biggest stars during the COVID era of WWE and the pandemic and the Thunderdome, he does all of that just to lose to Roman Reigns at Clash at the Castle, which was a right decision. The match was awesome, by the way. That was a great match with McIntyre and Roman Reigns. And then, you get what? He loses at WrestleMania to Gunther in the Triple Threat match, which that match was also incredible again. Another incredible match with McIntyre in it. He loses to Seth Rollins 2 or 3 times for the world title. He then wins at WrestleMania, gets undercut, and loses in 3 minutes after getting the belt. He loses to Damian Priest, who was a glorified jobber. And then after that, he loses his first meaningful feud of the year, or second meaningful feud of the year, with CM Punk, a guy who hasn't wrestled in 10 years. And if you look at Drew McIntyre and look at what he's done over the last year, and look at what Punk's done, how in the world is someone who's built like Drew McIntyre and wrestles as good as Drew McIntyre being reduced down to losing to a 40-something or 46 or 45-year-old man in the ring who's washed? It makes no sense. What other wrestler has elevated as much as Drew McIntyre and gets no reward for it? When Daniel Bryan elevated into that whole yes movement and everything like that, he won the title. Cody Rhodes, who was a glorified mid-carder / jobber for 90% of his career, and he had one decent year in WWE, and they elevated him to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. But a guy like Drew McIntyre, who's elevated in every single area of his character and of him as a wrestler, as a performer, and elevated his star power, and is even getting over on social media like crazy, which not many wrestlers do or even can do at this point, and his reward for that is losing to a washed-up 46-year-old man who's out of breath after 2 kicks? Are you kidding me? In what world is this a real thing? And CM Punk gets injured by Drew McIntyre, right, at Royal Rumble, at Royal Rumble. And Drew McIntyre obviously was an accident, most likely, right? And because of this, the crowd is now supposed to boo Drew McIntyre? This feud makes no sense, and it's overrated, dude. CM Punk is overrated now. He just is. He hasn't contributed anything to wrestling over the last decade. Anything. Anything. He made AEW a big story and a big draw for like a year or so, right? I'll give him that, like a year or two, a year and a half. And now we'll look where AEW is. They can't even draw more viewers than NXT. They're dead in the water. And then you have CM Punk coming over to WWE after bashing it, and now all of a sudden he's a good guy again, he's coming back to it, and Drew McIntyre injures him accidentally, and everyone's booing Drew McIntyre and trying to justify why he's getting cost out of 3 different championship matches in the same year? What? The wrestling fans just make no sense. The booking makes no sense. Triple H is glazing this guy CM Punk, who CM Punk has done nothing but bash this guy for the better part of the last decade. But now all of a sudden they're boys, and because CM Punk is back and he's a draw, oh, we're just going to let him beat everybody now. That's stupid. And I kid you not, if CM Punk beats Seth Rollins in this feud they're probably going to have for Mania 41, I'm done with CM Punk, bro. And I'm done with Triple H. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. These guys like Rollins and like Reigns and like, McIntyre, other people, a lot like Orton, all these people, they grinded with you year in, year out over the last decade and through COVID. And through the end of the Vince McMahon era, and through the beginning of the Triple H era. They grinded with you. They were there with you. And the reward that they get is Seth Rollins gets GTS'd and jobbed out at SummerSlam. Drew McIntyre loses multiple and meaningful matches and doesn't win anything. I'm like, what is this logic? This is stupid, man. And I'm sick of this feud being overrated. The match at Hell in a Cell is overrated. CM Punk did 5 or 10 moves at best in a 35-minute match. And because of that, the match is amazing because everyone's bleeding all over the place? Like, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. Drew McIntyre deserves to be a world heavyweight champion. It's that simple. The match at Mania should not be Gunther versus John Cena for the world title. It should be Drew McIntyre versus John Cena for the world championship. And even if Drew McIntyre loses, at least he lost to a worthy opponent. And at least he will have had a multiple-month title reign like he deserves. And he will have been able to defend it at something like a Saturday Night Main Event, or at a Royal Rumble, or at an Elimination Chamber, etc. You get what I'm saying? It's that simple. McIntyre deserves an extended championship reign after all this foolishness that they're putting him through. He grinds this hard and elevates like this, just to get put in some garbage. And Drew McIntyre has mentioned in interviews that he should have been a champion like 2 years ago. And he probably should have. He should have at least had an IC belt or a US belt or something. I mean, come on. As talented as this guy is, and he's jobbing out to CM Punk, who does 5 moves per match and gets out of breath after 2 kicks. Just stop it, man. CM Punk is washed. It's that simple. And there's no way that he should have been beating Drew McIntyre the way that that's been happening over the last year. This is stupid. Drew McIntyre better win a world championship within the next year, or he better win some type of meaningful match. Because right now the trajectory is for him to go out and job now in a meaningless feud after this feud with Punk. That's all it is. So I'm done. That's all I had to say for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day as usual. Peace out.